I've talked about it before, but I went on a trip to Nevada a few years back. It was back in 2016. Leading up to that, let me set the scene for you. So I had been working and going to college, and I was in the Marines, and that's just what I had been doing for years. I was just very busy, and that's where I just spent all of my time doing these three things. I would go directly from the factory where I was working, wouldn't even take a shower. I just changed clothes and put on some deodorant and go directly to class. I'd work third shift. I would go to work at 11 in the evening, work all night, and then at 7 a.m. I'd leave work and go to class. And then I'd get out of class around 1 in the afternoon, go home and go to bed, pass out, wake up, and immediately go to work again. And that's just what I did. And then on the weekend, that's when I got my homework done. Or if it was a Marine Corps weekend, I would spend time at the duty station. Sometimes I would bring my homework with me and do that while I was there.
How much homework did you have?
Not a lot, but I also didn't do a lot of it during the day because I was working full-time and also going to college full-time.
Homework is stupid.
Homework is stupid. I wish I didn't have to do it, but I had to.
Nobody should have to do homework. Just don't do homework. Who cares? Don't do it. Don't do it.
So this was around 2013 or so. I finally graduated from college. I got a bachelor's degree that I never ended up using, but that's neither here nor there. I was done with college. I was done with it. My relationship had fallen apart. My girlfriend and I had broken up, so I was single. I was still working at this plastic injection molding factory, but then my supervisor got canned, and he was really the only reason I was sticking around. I didn't like that job all that much, but I graduated college, didn't have a job, didn't have a girlfriend, so I decided, almost spontaneously, I am going to live out of my vehicle. I am going to be a truck dweller, van dweller. I'm going to sell the condo that I'm living at and just live out of my truck for a while. So I went out, I bought a Ford F-150 with an 8-foot bed, and then I bought the topper for it. So, yeah.
Why didn't you get a van?
You know, a van would have been a much better option in retrospect for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to go stealth camping if you don't have to get out of your truck and then crawl into the bed in plain view of everyone.
Yeah, generally.
It would have been a better idea, absolutely. But I don't know. I bought a truck. Got some blankets, got some pillows.
Really living the Marine stereotype of, what skills will the Marines teach me? None, but they will teach you how to be homeless as shit.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I don't need all the creature comforts. I didn't even really need a pillow most of the time. I was using a literal foam pad that they give you in the Marine Corps.
Oh my god, you were using that thing?
Yeah.
Oh god, man.
That's what I was sleeping on.
Tangentially related, are you familiar with, there used to be a subreddit called Roast Me, where you
Yeah.
post a picture of yourself and then everyone roasts you in it?
Yeah.
My favorite one I've ever seen was a Marine had posted a picture of himself, and you have to like be holding a piece of paper that has your username and the date and today's date on it.
Yeah.
So they're not just roasting some random person. You can't just upload somebody else's photo.
Yeah.
So he uploaded that photo, and my favorite comment was just, wow, a Marine holding a sign that says something other than homeless need help.
Nice.
I saw that. That fucking killed me. Oh my god, that was amazing.
That's a good roast.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. So yeah, I wanted to head out to the West Coast in my truck, and living out of a truck isn't the worst idea, but maybe crossing the country in a truck, not the smartest. You know, a truck already doesn't get great gas mileage. Then you put the heavy topper on top of it, you're getting 14 miles to the gallon.
I remember you put a big American flag thing on the back of your truck because then people are less likely to mess with it.
I did slap a small magnet of an American flag on the back of my truck.
Oh,
Yep.
it wasn't. It wasn't that big. It was like 4x3 inch.
Yeah, it was modest.
Yeah.
Noticeable.
Because then people see it and they go, ah, yes, American. I will not mess with this person.
A fellow patriot, I see, yes. I left home, I said goodbye to everyone. You might not see me for a long, long time, and I started driving. I just started driving out west. And you know, the first couple of days, kind of boring as shit. Not gonna lie, there's not a lot to see out in the flyover states.
Driving through Iowa is fucking miserable.
Yeah,
I would also argue that driving through half of Colorado is equally miserable.
Yeah, again, they're called the flyover states for a reason, that whole area.
Once you get to Denver, then Colorado is actually interesting and cool.
Yeah.
But anything east of Denver is just flat.
Yep.
Same thing for Iowa. There ain't shit there.
There isn't a lot.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Oh, God, Nebraska. Apologies to anyone who lives in Nebraska, both for me talking shit on Nebraska and for the fact that you live in Nebraska.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. On both counts.
Because you've driven across the country as well.
Several times, yeah.
You've gone north, south, and east, west.
Yeah. When my wife and I drove across the country, we stopped in Nebraska at one point because it was late. We were tired. We had to stop somewhere. And we saw, it's the most haunted museum in America. Oh, it's in Nebraska. So we were like, that would be cool to go to the most haunted museum in America. They have a whole thing where you go in there and they give you like a flashlight and you have to spend like an hour alone in this incredibly haunted room, and it's got a bunch of dolls and like whatever. And I was just like, what if I like bring my own flashlight in there? Do you think that it's just like I'd turn it on and instantly the entire room is illuminated like brighter than if it was in the daytime?
I brought my own flashlight. It has 4,000 lumens.
I brought my own 4,000 lumen, 80,000 candela flashlight. Is it okay if I use it? They're just like, sir, no, you can't use that. This is supposed to be spooky. You're taking the fun out of it. Yeah, we were gonna go to the incredibly haunted museum, but like it didn't open until the next day, and we were like, do we really want to stay in Nebraska for an extra day just to go to this museum in the middle of nowhere? Like, are we really gonna do this? And no, we just kept driving.
Didn't. Okay.
Yeah, man, those states there ain't nothing in those states.
So I drove out from east to the west coast, and that's pretty interesting because it starts off being very populated, and then you get these flyover states, and it's like, well, there's not much here, but there's still an exit every couple of miles. It's still got people in it. And then you cross into Utah, and you're driving along the highway in Utah, and it says exit 52, no more exits for 34 miles.
Yeah, it gets kind of scary when you're driving along and you look at your gas gauge and it's at like maybe half, maybe a little bit more than half a full tank, and you see a sign that says next gas station 87 miles. You're just like, I should have stopped.
Yeah.
I should have stopped.
I turn around and go back to get some gas, but there's no place to turn around.
There's no turn around.
There's no exits.
That's when you just use the police only turn off. It's in the middle of the highway. That's when you use that.
No, you never do that. That's illegal.
You never do that. Ever, ever. Not in a million years. I would never encourage anyone to do that. I've totally done it several times.
You're right about Colorado, though. I remember getting to Colorado and it being one of the first places I got out, walked around. I started hiking up the Red Rock Canyon, and it felt great just to get out, walk around this beautiful area, see the scenic views of these crazy rocks, this whole geological structure, all these things jutting out of the earth. It was amazing to look at. I was happy to go hiking around there.
It's neat.
Which I'd spent more time in Colorado.
It's really cool.
As a kid...
Is Red Rock Canyon in Colorado?
Yeah, Red Rock Canyon. Red Rock Trail, something like that.
When my wife and I drove across the country, we stopped in Bryce Canyon and like walked around in the canyon because there's a whole trail that goes down in there and you can walk around in it. Like there's a lot of very, very beautiful scenery in Utah and Colorado. The Southwest is gorgeous.
I absolutely agree. And I found out how gorgeous it was after I continued my journey, because that Red Rock Trail area was just the first of a lot of great stops that I encountered along the way. I continued along the highway, and yeah, it was very mountainous in that area. And the highway system is actually kind of crazy because it goes alongside a mountain, so it almost feels like you're driving a roller coaster track.
Yeah.
The way it swerves around these mountains. It's kind of a feat of engineering, just how they have these highways set up.
The infrastructure set up out there is just kind of insane. They built a road on a mountain and then sometimes just through the mountain.
Yeah.
They were just like, you know what? All right, it's gonna take way too much work to try to go around this thing, so just go through the center of it. I love tunnels. Tunnels are so cool.
Yeah. And like, I've been in Pennsylvania. There are some big hills there. You got a tunnel here and there, but it doesn't have anything on Colorado. Colorado's crazy, those mountains there.
Yeah, any of the mountains out west are really, really big. Not to diminish the Appalachian Mountains, but yeah, the
Rocky Mountains are crazy. I think I spent a bit more time in Colorado, and then I made my way into Utah. And I didn't expect much from Utah, because what do you know about Utah? There's Mormons and the Salt Lakes. That's all I really know about Utah. But you get there, and you're right. It's naturally incredibly beautiful. You got these rocks. Do they call them butte rocks? I'm not sure, but these these big giant formations just jutting out of the ground. Again, kind of like with Colorado, like these rocks that are huge formations. I'm not sure like how many hundreds or millions of years it takes to make this happen, but they look incredible.
It's all from erosion.
Yeah. And I'm driving through, and like the vegetation has largely died off. It feels very much like you're driving through a desert. Not the sandy kind of desert, but like there's not a lot of sand, like you'd imagine, not a lot of blowing desert sand, but there's not a lot of green either. It's hard to describe in a way that doesn't make it... It's desolate, but beautiful. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. And I heard about this one location. It was called Brian's Head. So I drove up this mountain, some hairpin turns. I got up there, and it is absolutely, positively beautiful. I didn't want to go to the Grand Canyon because that felt like a very tourist trap area.
Well, it's like the Grand Canyon is very beautiful, but there's several different points that you can view it from. The one that they really want you to go to, I think, is the least beautiful looking one.
Oh, did you go to the Grand Canyon?
I've been to the Grand Canyon 2 times. It's been a while since I looked it up, but there's several places you can view the Grand Canyon from. And I know one of them that's kind of the more touristy one. The view, it is still impressive. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like you get out there and it's just a small hole in the ground and you're like, what the fuck is this? It is still pretty, but I believe, if I remember correctly, the northernmost views are the ones that are like, wow, oh my god, that is massive. So like if you go, I'm probably getting this wrong, but I feel like it's the southern views aren't as good as the northern views of the Grand Canyon. But yeah, I've been to the Grand Canyon a couple times. It is something. It is very impressive.
Yeah, and I wanted to get that view for myself, but I honestly just didn't want to deal with people. This whole road trip is about myself and some introspection. It's hard for me to have that when there's people all around me, and I just hate crowds in general.
That is the problem with viewing the Grand Canyon, is that when you go to the ones that are the more tourist ones, they're just usually packed. And it doesn't really matter when you go, because the weather out west is generally decent most of the time. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say that it's amazing 100% of the time. It's not fucking San Diego, California, where weather is literally nice every single day. But yeah, generally it's always going to be pretty busy. That's why when I drove across the country with my wife, we stopped at Bryce Canyon instead of the Grand Canyon, because it's a lot easier to walk down into Bryce Canyon and be inside this massive canyon.
Yeah.
The views are really impressive. Kind of the unfortunate thing about going to the Grand Canyon is there's not as many. There are still plenty of places to go down into the Grand Canyon, but there's not as many as there are as other ones. So like you can go look at it, you can see it, it's really cool. But if you want to like go down there into the canyon, it's a little bit harder.
I see.
Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into the canyon or anything, but I wanted to get some nice views. So Brian Head, I went to this location called Brian Head. I drove up there to the top of the mountain. It took me a bit of time to get up there. And then I walked out to the viewing area. It was kind of snowy out. This is the top of a mountain. There's like about a foot of snow, so I'm crunching my way across the snow to get to the viewing area. And I finally get out there, and it is, again, it was just beautiful. Just looking out over this grand expanse, this giant canyon carved over however many years, the stratification between the different layers of all these beautiful red mountains. And then you do a 180 turn around, and you're on the top of a mountain. There's like a pile of snow because you're on a mountain. And you turn back around, and it's a canyon, a beautiful canyon. That view was just mind-blowing for me. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Favorite spot of the entire trip is just going up there and just being by myself with this most amazing view. And once I was done admiring the beauty of it, I continued along my journey. I eventually found a ski resort, but because it was summer when I was doing this, the ski resort wasn't really packed or anything. No one was there. It was an empty ski resort. But I drove through it. I stopped at a couple of buildings. It kind of felt like I was walking through an abandoned ghost town.
Yeah, I mean a lot of those ski places just shut down.
Yeah, they're just
in the summer.
They're well kept, but yeah. And then I just kind of walked into a building that was the visitors center. There's no one there. The door was unlocked. I could walk right in, but there was no one to greet me. It felt like no one was.
You were trespassing.
Was I? It's open to the public.
Someone forgot to lock the door, and you were trespassing, and now you're under arrest because you just admitted to it on the internet.
Or maybe they were in the bathroom. I don't know. There's one person maintaining the entire ski resort the entirety of summer. Maybe they're living their own best life.
Yeah. not entirely related, but when I was playing Voices of the Void recently on stream, someone was like, how much money would someone have to pay you to do this in real life? And I was just like...
To be out here in the middle of nowhere?
To be in the middle of nowhere at a satellite station in the Swiss mountains, and literally my job is to not interact with a single other person and run from one station to ride an ATV through the forest to a satellite station, write down what I read there, and then drive it back. Are you going to pay for all of my food and water? Because I will do it for free.
Sounds like a dream job.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. You went out to Montana not too long ago, didn't you? You went to a Firewatch tower?
That was a few years back. I forget exactly when, but yeah, that was a similar thing.
Yeah, another amazing view. You didn't drive out there. I think you flew that.
No,
time.
we flew out there. I went with some of my friends. We flew out there. Yeah, the closest town is Superior. It straight up takes like an hour to drive to the top of this mountain because it's just all switchbacks. It's a single lane road entirely with switchbacks. And the Firewatch tower I stayed at was interesting because most Firewatch towers you think of as like from the game Firewatch, where it's just built on this like scaffolding structure.
Yeah.
And it's just basically a wood cabin with zero amenities at the top of a tower.
That's what I'm imagining, yeah.
This one was different because this one was, the tower itself was maybe the height of a 3-story building. It was built entirely out of brick, and there was a cell phone tower right next to it.
Oh, okay.
Because basically what had happened was this had been a Firewatch tower. When the forestry department shut down all the Firewatch towers in like the 90s, I think, I'm pretty sure that this utility company or cell phone company basically bought it and turned it into a radio tower or a cell phone tower or whatever. Anyway, it didn't have a bathroom in it. If you wanted to go to the bathroom, you had to walk all the way down and use the outhouse, or just do what I did and pee off the side of the tower. The most important thing that it had, that most Firewatch towers do not have, was it had electricity and it had heating.
Yeah, that's very important.
So it actually had like a little like radiators in there. That meant that there was actually a refrigerator that was downstairs, but again, you had to bring all your own water up there. It didn't have any water. And I remember the first night we stayed at the Firewatch tower, we got up there and it was getting pretty dark by the time we got up to the tower, so you couldn't see a lot. When I woke up the next morning, everything was covered in fog. Because again, you're on the top of a mountain.
Yeah.
Everything was covered in fog. All I could see when I looked out from the fire, because you have 360-degree views from this Firewatch tower. All I could see were the top of like 4 or 5 other mountains, just poking out with little trees sticking out of them.
That sounds like an amazing
And
view.
it was like being on the ocean. You were on a little tiny island in the middle of an ocean, and it was just all fog as far as you could see. And you could just see a few or little tiny islands of the tops of mountains. It was so interesting.
Sounds amazing.
It was really, really cool. It was really something being able to stay in that Firewatch tower. And there's plenty of other ones that you can stay in. You can rent them out. You have to go on their website and book them. They're like perma-booked out now. They open the reservations for booking, I want to say, in like April. And they're almost immediately booked out, especially the Thompson Peak one, because it's the only one with power.
Well, it sounds like the moment someone goes there, people have an amazing time with it, and they can't wait to go back.
And also, it's one of the only ones that you can drive to. A lot of the other Firewatch towers, you have to hike out to the tower, which means you have to now bring out firewood, food, water, all of this other stuff that you have to pack out there. And a lot of times, you're not allowed to drive four-wheelers, or you're not allowed to drive any kind of vehicle. There's a few of them that you have to like take a snowmobile out to.
Yeah, helps.
But the problem is, because the very nature of what the Firewatch tower is it's this thing that's on top of a mountain that you can see 360 degrees for looking for fires. It means that it's a little difficult to get to most of them. Anyway, I'm sorry, I got off on a...
No need to apologize. I wanted to hear about that.
Yeah, it was really cool. I would love to do that again, but if I want to go there, I have to fly out to either Missoula, which is basically the largest big city. I gotta fly out to Missoula in Montana, or do like what I did last time, fly into Seattle, and then drive from Seattle to Montana.
But it sounds like you had a great time. You would be willing to do it again if someone offered you a free trip.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Very nice.
I always forget to look into booking the Firewatch tower until like it's too late.
It's all
like
closed up.
I always forget until like June or something, and I'm like, oh, I should look into that because it's like the reservations open in April, and then by then they're all booked out.
It's booked 3 years in advance. Yeah.
Well, they only do booking for that year. That is the nice thing is they don't let you book it like a year in advance. You can only book for that year.
It's like a college student trying to get your classes for your semester. Got to be the first one. Got to be the first.
Gotta get there. I was never
refreshing the page. I gotta be the first one.
That was like me trying to buy the PS5. I gotta get it. I don't know why I did. There's no games on it.
Yeah.
PS5 doesn't have any game. No, I'm just kidding. So you went to Bryan Head, and then I remember, I don't know if this was before or after, but I remember you sent me pictures from Good Springs.
Yeah, I did eventually make my way to Nevada, but before I got to Nevada, I spent some time in Zion National Park.
Zion is absolutely beautiful. I wish that I could have spent more time in Zion.
Yeah, so after I spent my time in Bryan Head, I went to Zion National Park. Yeah, I just started walking around. Another lovely location to explore. It really is an amazing gem. It is an oasis. I told you before how I feel like I'm driving through a brown desert for miles and miles and miles, and you get to Zion, and it's luscious. It is beautiful. There's greenery everywhere.
Oh, it is, yeah. There are so many trees and things there.
There's a babbling brook that's running along, and there's like people just relaxing aside a tree by the. Everyone was just there relaxing and enjoying nature. It was so amazing.
I remember my wife and I drove across country. We stopped in Zion. We stopped at this hotel. There was a restaurant that was attached to the hotel, and they had like a little gift shop that was there. And while we were getting dinner at this restaurant, I had this like weird feeling of deja vu. Like, I've been to this place before. But like usually that's just a feeling.
Yeah.
That's just a feeling that happens. It usually means absolutely nothing. But like I could not shake it, and it just kept getting stronger and stronger to the point that it's no longer deja vu. I legitimately remembered being here before. And we went into the little gift shop that was in there, and I was just like, oh my God, I have actually been here before. Because when I was younger, when I was in like middle school, maybe early high school, I forget exactly when, my family took a trip out west.
Oh, okay.
And we stayed at literally the exact same hotel because I remember the restaurant and the gift shop had not changed in 20-something years. It was exactly the same. I was like, oh my God, we have actually been here before.
See, I thought you were going to say you had been here before in the Honest Hearts DLC for New Vegas.
No.
It was amazing. The gift shop was perfectly mapped out the exact same way.
It was the exact...
Bethesda did their research. It was Obsidian, but no, it's not.
No, it was... I literally had been to that exact same one. It was just funny that like I had inadvertently ended up staying at the exact same hotel that I had gone to as like a child at this same place. It was just kind of goofy.
That's crazy.
But yeah, Zion is absolutely gorgeous. I wish that we could have spent more time in Zion when my wife and I went through there.
There's still time. You
can go back. Yeah, we can go back. That's not a problem. It's just a matter of like, taking time off and getting plane tickets.
Yeah.
And flying out there and.
It's definitely a great place to visit. I went there. I walked around on it's divided into different regions and different sections. I think I remember the Narrows area being closed off for the season at that point, which is fine. There's plenty of other areas I could go to. So I'm walking around. Some of it's flat, some of it's hilly terrain. So I'm going up these hills, looking at all these beautiful trailheads, lost in my own thoughts, enjoying nature, thinking like, man, this is amazing. I wish I had somebody here with me to enjoy this with me. And that's when I finally start to come upon the realization that I'm a little homesick. I kind of miss the people from home. I miss my family and friends. Like this journey that I've been on for so long, I've seen a lot of great things and I've gone to a lot of great places, but it's starting to wind down now. I feel like I should go back and be with the people I care about.
If I recall correctly, wasn't your original plan like you were gonna?
Nevada was my destination.
You were gonna go to Nevada, and you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna move to Nevada eventually."
I had legitimately planned to spend at least some time out there on the West Coast. I had thought that maybe I'd move out to the West Coast possibly. I didn't know until I got there, but that was my idea. I didn't plan on coming back the same year, but I was starting to get a bit homesick, and I realized now that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go back home, spend time with the people I care about. But I still had my original goal of Nevada in mind. I still hadn't crossed the state line into Nevada yet. I was still enjoying Utah so much. Utah blew me away. My expectations were so low, and it exceeded them far beyond what I would have imagined.
Yeah.
So
It's very pretty.
Yeah. So I eventually did make my way towards Nevada. I did my pilgrimage to the town of Good Springs, as any good Fallout fan will. Mm-hmm. Had a cola at the bar. And it honestly looks kind of similar to what is in game. It's not too far removed.
Yeah, it looks pretty similar. There's really not a whole lot there.
Yeah, you've been there too on your own.
Yep. I
graffitied the bathroom.
I graffitied the bathroom with something along the lines of like "Courier, you can go home," or I forget what it was.
Don't graffiti the bathrooms.
There's so much Fallout graffiti in the bathroom.
Is there?
There's so much Fallout graffiti in the bathroom there. It's probably like almost nothing but Fallout graffiti now, especially because
they have that celebration too.
Yeah, they have that thing going on there now. I think the people that own the bar that's there, the Good Springs Saloon, I think the people that own that are like, man, these Fallout nerds got a lot of money. They can make a lot of money because it's a desert biker. Well, I don't want to call it a biker bar.
It's kind of a biker,
but it's for like
there's motorcycles always parked out there.
Yeah, but it's for like people that are riding motorcycles through the desert, not like not like that kind of biker. Yeah. More like I ride my motorcycle through the desert and I'm covered in 27 different layers of dust.
A bunch of sweaty Fallout nerds might have been the cleanest people to visit that bar.
Maybe, yeah. Probably not the smelliest, though. The dust has a way of kind of keeping the stench in,
yeah.
At least temporarily.
But yeah, Good Springs Saloon, the surrounding area was nice. I visited Hoover Dam, of course.
Mm-hmm. That is incredibly impressive.
I went there while the reservoir was filled, which is even more impressive. Mm-hmm. I know it's not always filled these days, but it looked amazing when I was there.
When we went to Hoover Dam, it was during when everyone was still doing like social distancing and things were closed and all of that. And they had at Hoover Dam, I don't know if they still do, but they had at Hoover Dam, you could get as souvenirs pieces of the like cable that they transmit power through.
Oh.
And it's like a 1.5 inch thick piece of copper cable. That's like 3 inches long that you can get, and I really wanted to get one of those, but like the only gift shop they have, it's a little tiny gift shop. There's more of a booth on the dam itself that you walk up, and that was like closed. I'm just, God damn it! Wanted to get a piece of cable from the Hoover Dam. Can't even buy a piece of copper cable. Can't have shit in Detroit.
And so while I was in Vegas, I also had to stop by and see the lights on the Strip.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of observed them from the highway. I drove around Vegas. You can see all the lights at night from the highway. I didn't actually go into the city. At this point, I had been to Zion. I'd been to Bryan's Head. I'd been to these trails.
You didn't go to the Vicky and Vance Casino?
I didn't go to any of the casinos.
You didn't go to the Vicky and Vance Casino and see the death car?
I didn't have any money. My vehicle gets 14 miles to the gallon.
You don't have to spend. That's the great thing about Vegas is most of the hotels don't actually cost that much because they plan on you going in there and gambling. You don't actually have to gamble. You can just get a cheap hotel room.
Just give me some free food.
No, the food is if you actually start gambling, then you get the free food. Yeah. Also, Vegas buffets, just any casino buffet is like, damn, that is an American experience right there. Is going to a casino buffet. Yeah. Literally anything. Do you want sushi? Because you can actually have fresh sushi in the middle of a fucking desert. I don't know how they do it, but they have fresh sushi that probably won't make you sick. It might.
Don't know. So you went to the town of Prim?
We went to the town of Prim, which is a lot more built up than it is in Fallout New Vegas, obviously. There is the Buffalo Bills Resort and Casino, which has a roller coaster. That does actually have a roller coaster. And then the one that's across the street, it's Whiskey Pete's Casino. Is that the one that has the Vicky and Vance death car? It's not the Vicky and Vance. It's the Bonnie and Clyde death car. I'm sorry, I'm calling it the Vicky and Vance death car. Whiskey Pete's Casino has the Bonnie and Clyde death car, which we went there to see it because we were like, haha, it'll be really funny. We'll see the Bonnie and Clyde death car. And then you go there and you see it and you remember, oh yeah, 2 20-year-olds actually got fucking murdered by the FBI in this car, and for some reason we just put it in the middle of a casino. Like, come see it. Here's the clothes they were wearing. Do you want to see their bullet-ridden clothes? Do you want to see the Tommy gun that he had? And it's just like, this is kind of fucked up.
Sounds like it.
You don't really think about it until you're actually there looking at this bullet-ridden 1920s car, and you're like, that was kind of fucked up, man. Yeah. Why are we doing this?
It's a piece of America.
I guess I'll take my picture in front of it.
Honey, take a picture. Look at me. I'm getting gunned down by the FBI.
Did you see Helios 1, which is actually like three towers?
I didn't actually do that, no.
I mean, you can see it from the highway. That is really impressive, being able to see Helios 1. Or I forget what it's actually called.
The Sun Tower.
You look out into the desert while you're driving along the highway, and you just see these 3 towers in the desert that are glowing as bright as the sun is glowing. So it's just this bright point of light that's almost painful to look at in the middle of the desert, and there's 3 of them. And it's really impressive when you think about it, because that's just all from mirrors pointing at it. It's just a bunch of parabolic mirrors all focused onto this thing, which is a big tower that's, I think, if I recall correctly, the center of the tower is actually black, but because it's getting blasted with so much light, it looks white from back there, and it's filled with, if I remember correctly, basically molten salt. It focuses all the light and turns the salt into liquid, which then goes and powers a bunch of turbines, because that's the only way we know how to make power, is turn things into steam and then make steam spin wheel.
Yeah.
That's the only way. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of where the story ends, because I got to Vegas, but at that point I'd already had my fill. I'd learned everything what I wanted to learn back in Utah, and getting to Nevada at that point was just kind of a bookend for the whole journey. So I decided to turn around and come all the way back.
You can drive a tank?
You can drive a tank in Nevada?
Dude, you can do anything in Vegas.
I didn't spend it on...
There's like 3 companies that'll rent you a tank that you can drive it around. One of them also will rent you a Ferrari. Do you want to drive a Ferrari and then drive a tank? You can do both.
Crazy. I did not do that, no.
There's a lot of stuff that you can do. Granted, most of it's incredibly expensive, but...
The trip out there was great. Maybe I wouldn't do the road trip portion again. Those flyover states are kind of boring.
Yeah.
Certainly when I do it in a truck, again, gas mileage was really rough. I'm really grateful that my dad gave me some... Before I left, he's like, "Bye, son. Here, have these gas gift cards." I'm like, "Thanks, Dad." And that helped me out a bit.
Those would be helpful.
He was surprisingly supportive of the fact that I was losing my mind and selling everything I owned and moving into a truck and driving across the country.
Yeah.
But I'm happy I did, because I got a nice experience out of it.
It's neat if you're able to do things like that. Just being able to see more of the country is really cool.
It was a big country. It's got a lot of great sights.
I really want to take the California Zephyr.
I don't know what that is.
It is a train that Amtrak runs, and it goes, I'm pretty sure, all the way from New York to California. I think technically the California Zephyr route does not start until Chicago, but it's an Amtrak train, and it goes all the way out there, and a bunch of it is just through the mountains. Have you ever taken the train anywhere before?
I've looked into it. I wish I could have taken the train, but the train infrastructure is not great in this country.
The train infrastructure isn't great. The biggest problem I have with taking... Because I've taken the train like 3 times.
Okay.
Every single time I take it, I'm like, this is amazing. I wish all public transit was like this. This is incredible. This is the best thing ever. Because you get a massive seat with power. So, like, you can plug stuff in, and you can stick your legs all the way out.
Much better experience than flying.
It is so much better. It is amazing. And, like, I wish it was actually better funded. The problem is taking the train is incredibly expensive because nobody takes the train. So the cost of tickets is more. Granted, if you're taking a relatively short trip on the train, it's not that bad. And also, if you don't get a room, the reason I would want to take the California Zephyr is to get a room or a roomette.
Yeah.
Which are 2 different things. And it is straight up like $1,000 some odd to take the roomette. Well, which, granted, sometimes flying all the way from east to west of the country is also like $1,000. So maybe I just take the train next time. I don't know. I really do want to do that. I think it would be really cool to take the train across the country, especially for some of the views that you can get. I think that would be amazing.
I've looked into trains as a transportation option before, but it always seems like the price itself maybe not prohibitive, but the fact that it takes a long time to reach the destination. Like the trains do not, they're not very efficient.
That is the downside that you are taking when you take trains in the United States. Is maybe it costs about the same, or maybe it's even a little bit cheaper than if you were to fly, but it takes way longer.
Yeah,
it takes so much longer. Like, a week if you take the California Zephyr. It takes like legitimately a week to get all the way over there. Mm-hmm. But you are paying for increased comfort. The fact that you can get up and walk around, and there's actually a shower that you can use.
Very impressive, yeah.
There's an actual bathroom that isn't an airplane bath. I don't find airplane bathrooms that bad, personally, but I'm not claustrophobic. I think airplane bathrooms are kind of cool.
Yeah, not bad.
I think they're interestingly engineered. I think they're neat.
Yeah. I didn't realize there were people out there that have problems with it, but I guess it's claustrophobic enough for some.
Claustrophobic, and there's people that just don't. It's like, I don't want to use the airplane bathroom. I want to be able to actually like have some room, not feel like I'm shitting inside a cupboard.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I'm not comfortable having my pants down if my feet aren't planted on the ground.
I get it. I understand. I don't want to take a shit folded like a pretzel.
The plane does a loop-de-loop and the poop goes back up. Whoop!
God, I wish the United States had Japan's rail infrastructure.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to take the Shinkansen. I want to go from one side of the country to the other side of the country in 3 hours. Are you kidding me? That's well, not 3 hours because our country's huge.
Yeah.
But like,
give us bullet trains, yeah, absolutely.
give us a bullet train. It would be like a 1-day trip. Mm-hmm. Like 24 hours is how long. Anyway, that would be incredible.
Ah, yes. To be able to see the entirety of the country, spend 1 day in California admiring the beautiful weather, spend 1 day up in Montana admiring the forest, and see those mountainous views like you enjoyed, then go all the way down to Utah, and then all these other states you just zip across and see the East Coast as well.
Oh boy, the Rust Belt.
Appalachian Mountains.
I do like the Appalachian Mountains.
You know, I don't think I've seen enough of them.
I haven't spent much time there, but they're very pretty. It's where the Sasquatch lives.
Yes, a bunch of other...
Or the Yeti. No, it's not the Yeti. Is it Sasquatch? I guess it's It's Bigfoot. It's Bigfoot out there. Sorry, it's Sasquatch in the Pacific Northwest, and in the Appalachian Mountains, it's Bigfoot.
I thought they were the same thing.
Or the skunk ape.
I thought it's like crocodile, alligator differences.
They're all probably the same thing. Get a bunch of rednecks with beards and big old beer guts hanging out in the woods going, woo, woo, trying to attract the Sasquatch.
Gotta get the chupacabra.
No, that's in Mexico. Did you know the chupacabra comes from the movie Species? The first setting of the chupacabra was not until post-1995. And it's widely believed that it was because a woman saw the movie Species and then had a really bad nightmare. And because like literally when she describes it, it sounds like Syl from the movie Species.
Okay.
Yep, chupacabra just comes from Species. It's not real. Not like the skunk ape. That's real.
And the jackalope. Yep, those are real.
The
too.
jackalope is 100% real. Do not get near a jackalope. They are intensely territorial.
Yes. I think I saw a documentary on that.
On the jackalope?
Oh, the jackalope. You get close to a jackalope and it tears you apart. Yeah. Watch out for that.
It's like the snipe. You gotta watch out for those snipes. If you're a camp counselor, don't make your kids go on a snipe hunt. That's mean. It's just mean.
Did you do any camping when you were, I don't know if you had any Boy Scouts or anything like that? You go out on these Boy Scout camping trips?
I went on a few different camping trips, yeah.
Yeah.
For different things like that. I went to like a summer camp that was like a week long. I guess it's not really a summer camp if it's only a week long, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. I had a whole set of badges. I was part of the CCC, I don't remember, the Christian Cadet Club or something like that. It was basically Boy Scouts, but for Protestants.
But for good school kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got badges for knot tying, sewing, and God's love. And the badge was a hand holding an apple or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't go into Boy Scouts. I was in Cub Scouts. I never was in Boy Scouts.
I had a fun time in the cadets, you know. I did a lot of small hobbies. I learned, of course, knot tying and sewing and stuff like that. But I also carved out cars and painted them so you could race them down the tracks.
Oh, the Pinewood Derby!
The Pinewood Derby,
I
yeah.
remember the Pinewood Derby.
Did some of that. Went out camping. Fired bow and arrow a couple of times.
I remember entering the Pinewood as a Cub Scout being in the Pinewood Derby, entering that, and then there were other kids that their dads had made the Pinewood Derby cars.
Yeah.
So they did stupidly well, as opposed to mine, which was literally a brick with a round nose. I didn't do a very good job on that car. Then, yeah, these other kids are showing up with this car that looks like a freaking Formula One car, and their dad is, like, applying acrylic paint to the body, like, right beforehand. Like, don't touch it, I'm doing this.
Did you ever submit any of your crafts to the big craft show that they judge? I'm not sure how to describe it, but, you know, I'd make a plaque with a bunch of different knots on display, and I'd submit that, and then I'd submit the Pinewood Derby car, and then they'd rate that, and I'd get blue ribbon worthy or red ribbon worthy.
I think I submitted stuff to like the county fair. And that's
similar vibe.
It's like kids submit stuff to the county fair, and it's like I submitted a bunch of different little Lego things that I had built together, and it's just like everybody gets a ribbon. You all get a ribbon.
The white participation ribbon.
Yeah, that's like the only time I've ever gotten a participation trophy that the boomers like to scream about so much.
You know, they were a boost to my confidence, and I appreciated them. I didn't mind the participation ribbons, but I was a little disappointed because if I got the white ribbon, it means I didn't get the other good ribbons. Anyway, yeah, I had a good time with the cadets. We go out there, do some camping. I spent some time on a submarine. That was part of one of our expeditions. We went to a submarine that was docked, and we just kind of stayed at the submarine for a little days.
I wish I could have done something like that. That sounds cool.
It's kind of cramped in there.
Oh, it's very cramped in a submarine, but if you're a kid, it's not that cramped.
Yeah, a little claustrophobic, yeah.
That's why we need to have children operate all the submarines. Then we can build the submarines smaller.
Yeah.
Fit more ballistic missiles in it.
Bring back child labor, but only for submarines, because their small little bodies can fit in there.
Well, and breaking coal.
Yeah. And cleaning out machinery, because their little hands can get in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Ain't no time to learn. There's coal to burn.
No such thing as a free ride. You're getting back in that factory, Timmy. I am being facetious. I do not actually believe any of these things.